I've been driving long haul for 19 years. I don't rattle easy. But there are nights that stay with you, and this was one of them. It was a Tuesday in late October, eastbound on I-10 out of Houston. Sealed dry cargo, auto parts, scheduled into Mobile by 0700. Standard run. I'd done it probably 40 times. Nothing about the load or the route warranted any special attention. I pulled into a rest area just inside the Louisiana state line around 2:15 in the morning. I needed to use the restroom and walk off a coffee that had been sitting wrong for the last hour. The place was quiet. 2 other rigs parked dark near the far end, one abandoned-looking pup trailer near the tree line, nobody moving. I left the Pete idling, cracked the windows, and parked nose out toward the exit. That's just habit. You always park so you can leave. I was gone maybe 8 minutes. When I came back out, there was a dark-colored sedan in the lot. American make, no front plate. Engine running, low beams on, parked near the entrance. I noticed it but didn't think much. People stop at rest areas. I climbed back into the cab, buckled up, and started easing forward. That's when the sedan moved. Not fast. That's what got my attention. It pulled out slowly and crossed diagonally toward the exit, stopping at an angle that blocked the only lane I had to straighten the truck out. No horn, no gesture, no one got out. It just sat there with the engine running. I stopped, put the truck in neutral, watched for a few seconds. I tried moving in reverse to create a new angle. The sedan rolled forward the same distance I'd gained, just enough to maintain the block. That wasn't an accident. I looked right. The curb on that side was maybe 8 inches, too high to take the rear axle over without risking the tandems. Left was a light pole and a drainage ditch, no room for the trailer to swing through. The sedan had parked in the exact spot that minimized my options. Whoever was driving knew the geometry of a 53-foot combo. I picked up my phone off the dash. 1 bar. I wasn't going to call anybody. I just wanted it in my hand. Then I noticed something on the ground about 20 feet ahead, sitting in the path I'd need to take if I tried to cut around the sedan on the right. Low, dark, not moving. At first I thought it was a piece of blown tire. I eased forward a few feet to get the headlights on it better. It had metallic edges, flat spikes or a similar device, positioned at an angle that would catch a steer tire if I committed to that line. It wasn't there when I pulled in. The sedan's high beams flashed on and then off. The passenger window came down a few inches. An arm rested on the door. No movement, no voice. Just present. I checked the right mirror. The shadow I'd half noticed near the old trailer had moved. It was closer to the lit area now, still outside the direct reach of the overhead lights, but definitely a person. Then I pressed the brake to hold position and it felt soft. Not gone, but softer than it had been 20 minutes ago. I pressed again. Still there, but the pedal was traveling further than it should. That wasn't where. Air brake systems don't degrade in 8 minutes on their own. Someone had been at the truck while I was in the restroom. I stopped running through options and started moving. I put it in first, built the RPMS, and cut hard right, taking the curb. The rear axle protested but it went over. The trailer's corner came within a foot of the light pole. I could hear the air displacement as it passed. I did not run over the spike strip. I cleared it on the outside line. The sedan surged forward to close the gap, but I was already committed and had the weight moving. The guy who'd opened the door pulled it shut fast. I was on the entrance ramp before anyone could have made another move. The brakes were soft the whole way to the next truck stop, about 4 miles. I used the Jake more than the foot valve. When I got there, big place, well lit, cameras visible on the canopy, I pulled straight under the lights and killed it. The inspection found a clean cut in one of the air supply lines to the rear brakes. Small diameter cut, made with something sharp. Not a chafing failure. A chafing failure leaves frayed edges. This was a single clean slice. The right steer tire had sidewall damage from the curb strike. Drivable but not for long. I called in a roadside service request. filed a delay notification with the carrier, and waited. When the local sheriff's deputy came, the gas station manager had called it in. I gave a description. Dark sedan, no front plate, 2 people minimum, possibly 3, no clear faces. The rest area had a camera mounted on the building, but it had been pointed at the vending machines, not the lot. The deputy took notes and left. The mechanic came. The tire got changed. I delivered late, which triggered a penalty clause in the contract. The company docked part of my performance bonus to cover the added service cost. Not a huge number, but it wasn't nothing either, and it came out of my pocket for something that happened to me, not because of me. I rolled into Mobile just before noon, 6 hours behind schedule. I haven't stopped at that rest area again. When I stop anywhere in Louisiana after midnight, the engine goes off, the doors lock, and I'm in the sleeper. I don't leave the truck unattended. 8 minutes is apparently enough time for someone who knows what they're doing. I'm Garrett, 41 years old, been driving since I was 22. I've had my share of strange miles, but this one was different because it wasn't physical. Nobody touched the truck. Nobody blocked a road. It was information, and that was the part that stayed with me. I was westbound on I-70 out of St. Louis, dry freight, construction material on pallets, delivery to a yard outside Kansas City by early afternoon the next day. Clear skies, light traffic for a Tuesday. The kind of run where your mind settles into a rhythm and the miles just go. I first noticed the sedan near Wentzville. Silver or light grey, common model, the kind of car that disappears in traffic. It entered the highway a few positions behind me. When I moved around a slower truck, it did the same a minute or two later. That's not unusual on its own. Lots of people drive I-70. I stopped in Kingdom City for fuel and a coffee. 15 minutes, maybe a little less. When I got back on the road and traffic spread back out, the sedan reappeared in my right mirror about 20 minutes later. Same color, same distance behind the trailer. Same unhurried pace. That got my attention. I started watching the pattern. It never pulled up alongside my cab. Never tried to overtake for a look. It just maintained position 2 or 3 vehicles back, adjusting speed in a way that was too smooth to be coincidental. I tested it. I dropped 5 miles per hour with no signal or brake light, just eased off the throttle. An SUV moved around me. A pickup accelerated and disappeared. The sedan slowed down the same amount and held the gap. I stopped at a busy truck stop just past Boonville. Pulled in under the lights, went inside. The sedan rolled past the entrance without slowing. I figured maybe I'd been wrong. I gave it 20 minutes before getting back on the road. Half an hour outside of town, it was back. That's when I started looking closer. I caught a glimpse of a detail, a small rectangular sticker on the lower corner of the rear window. Dark background, nothing legible at distance, but distinctive enough. Same car. 3 cities, 2 stops. I put my phone on the dash mount and kept driving normally. I took cruise control off and started varying my speed manually. 63, then 68, then back down. The sedan matched every adjustment without closing the distance. In the construction zone near Concordia, reduced to 55, single lane, cones compressing traffic, it stayed put. When the road opened back up, it settled right back into position. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Missouri area code. I didn't answer. It called again 10 seconds later. I didn't answer that either. A text came through instead. Asterisk, you left St. Louis at 8:12. I looked at the dash clock. Then I looked in the mirror. That time was accurate. Not a rough estimate. The exact minute I'd pulled out of the yard. Another message a minute later. Asterisk, stopped in Kingdom City for 14 minutes. Asterisk. Not 15. 14. The actual time. Then, asterisk, light charge. Blue seal. Asterisk. The seal on my trailer. The specific color. That information isn't on the outside of the trailer in any readable way. You'd have to be close enough to read it directly, or you'd need access to the dispatch paperwork. I kept the truck steady and didn't respond. I thought about a hard brake to force a reaction but ruled it out. That's a bad idea at highway speed, and it tells them they've gotten to you. 2 minutes passed. Then, keep driving. I did. As traffic thickened coming into the Kansas City metro, the sedan started changing lanes more frequently. Not to get ahead, just to stay visible. It wanted me to keep seeing it. That's a specific choice. One more message before I reached the delivery exit. Delivery at 1:30 p.m. That time was correct. It was in the carrier's system. It was not on any document visible through the windows. When I signaled for my exit, the sedan continued straight down the highway. No final message. It just merged into the city traffic and was gone. During the unload, I walked through everything mentally. The times were exact. The seal color was accurate. The delivery window was from an internal system. This wasn't someone who'd been watching me from the road for a few hours. They had access to operational data. Whether that meant a compromised app, a carrier-side leak, or something else, I couldn't say. I talked to my dispatcher without making it dramatic. Described the sequence, showed him the messages. He had me change my tracking app password and audit the location permissions on my phone right there in the yard. Simple steps, but the right ones. On the empty return trip, nothing repeated. No sedan, no messages. I still vary my departure times when I can. Different fuel stops, different coffee spots. Nothing happened again, and I don't know if that's because the password change worked or because they got what they wanted. What they wanted, as far as I can tell, was to show me they had the information. No demand followed. No cargo was touched. The whole thing may have been reconnaissance, mapping a carrier's data exposure, with me as the test case. I think about that sometimes when a vehicle holds position behind my trailer for too long on an open highway. This one didn't involve another vehicle following me or anyone blocking an exit. It was simpler than that, and in some ways harder to dismiss, because simple things placed in the right spot are harder to explain away as coincidence. I was running a detour through an industrial district south of Little Rock on a Wednesday night, around 11:40. The shortcut bypasses a stretch of I-30 that had been running slow due to construction and saves a few miles. I'd used it a handful of times before without incident. The area is warehouse and light manufacturing, all closed at that hour, metal roll-up doors down, no employees, minimal traffic. Street lights are spaced further apart than you'd want, leaving gaps between the lit zones, but the road surface is workable and the turns are manageable for a long wheelbase. I was carrying industrial wire spools on a flatbed. Strapped and topped, weight distributed correctly, nothing shifting. The load was unremarkable. Nothing about it would make it a particularly attractive target for cargo theft. I was doing 45, respecting the posted limit, watching the road surface for the pavement irregularities I remembered from before. The object appeared in my headlights about 60 feet out. It was sitting in the right lane, partially into my path, heavy enough to register as a solid mass even at that distance. My first read was construction debris, a broken chunk of concrete or dropped cinder block. Those things do fall off trucks in industrial areas. I came off the throttle immediately and covered the brake. But as I got closer and the headlights hit it better, something didn't fit. There were no smaller fragments around it. No scatter pattern from an impact or a fall. The ground around it was clean. It was a single object, positioned at an angle, not lying flat like something dropped, but canted slightly, with one edge elevated. The metallic material embedded in the side caught the light in a way that plain concrete wouldn't. I kept slowing without hard braking. I didn't want to transfer all the weight forward and lose the ability to maneuver if I needed to. I moved left to pass it and checked the oncoming lane. Empty, and dark enough at the edges that I couldn't fully trust what I was seeing in the margins. As I pulled even with the object, I noticed drag marks on the pavement alongside it. Recent ones, no grime in the scratches, no tire rubber over them. Something heavy had been slid into position, not dropped or rolled. I was still moving, maybe 20 miles per hour at this point, and I clipped a look to the right. There was a person standing near the wall of one of the closed warehouses. Not moving, not approaching. Just standing there in the shadow line where the nearest streetlight didn't quite reach. I kept the truck moving. Did not stop. As my trailer cleared the object, the figure shifted position slightly, stepped back rather than forward. I caught it in the convex mirror. Not a retreat. More of a repositioning, like someone who had expected a different reaction and was adjusting. I brought the truck back up to 40 as I covered the remaining 2 blocks to the traffic light at the main highway junction. I stopped on yellow rather than accelerate through. A stationary truck in a lit intersection is a better position than a fast-moving one on a dark side street. I watched all 3 mirrors while I sat at the red. No one came out of the industrial stretch behind me. No headlights. The light changed and I got onto the main road, and about 15 miles out I pulled into a truck stop for a full walk around. No damage. The object hadn't touched the truck. The trailer tires were clean. I stood there in the fuel island light and thought through the geometry of what had been set up. The object was heavy enough to destroy a steer tire or crack a rim if you drove over it at speed, but not large enough to stop a truck outright. It was positioned not in the center of the lane but on the line a driver would naturally take to avoid debris in the center, the swerve line. The person standing near the warehouse was far enough back not to be a direct threat, but close enough to observe whether I stopped, how long I took to react, whether I got out of the cab. It wasn't a robbery attempt. If you wanted to stop a truck and take the load in an industrial corridor at midnight, you'd need more people and a different setup. This looked more like someone testing whether that particular detour route was viable for a future operation, using a driver's reaction to measure the variables. Stop time, visibility, whether the driver would exit the cab, how long it would take for anyone to respond. I filed it with the carrier the next morning as a road hazard incident. Extra precautionary inspection at the destination yard. Came back clean, no structural issues noted. The report went into the system and that was the end of it operationally. I don't use that shortcut after dark anymore. The few miles it saves aren't worth reduced visibility and no traffic buffer. The main highway is longer but you have sight lines, other trucks around you, and rest areas with cameras if something goes wrong. I haven't seen anything similar on that route since. But the detour through that corridor is a different calculation now than it was before that night. Some routes change once you understand how they look to someone who isn't a driver.